Hey! So I said I wasn't going to do this, but here I am again. Welcome to Attune and Align podcast. I'm your host, Marisa Lavalette. We are just gonna jump right in. No peppy intro music, no editing team. Well, you're looking at her this time. Now I know what I'm doing. Just 7 years of experience of this wild and beautiful ride called soulpreneurship. I'm pretty sure this is technically podcast season 5. Anyway, I'm finally at this part of my journey now where I'm like, hey girlfriend, if you are having one of those save me from myself moments, I'm your girl. Here's why I'm your girl. I came to the entrepreneurship game from the beginning with great instincts. And then with that, I had my work before play work ethic, Capricorn. And with that, I have my insanely high superhuman tolerance for failure. Failure being what I've noticed so far, like sort of the number one ingredient you need for entrepreneurship. Now, 7 years into this, it is just not my first rodeo anymore. So those save me from myself moments. The ones I get the most from you are, hey Marisa, when do I quit my full-time job? You know, the one with the W-2 and the benefits and the insurance and all that. And my answer, I'm sorry, is still the same. Keep it for as long as you can, which may not be what you wanted to hear when you tuned in today. We'll come back to that. The other save me from myself moment I get all the time. Yo, Marisa, should I start a podcast? Why is this the question people are always asking me? I will tell you it is probably a no, a capital N, a capital no on the podcast, unless you are willing to dig into it for more than a few years. Not 1 year, not 2 years, but like really dig in. Like I said, I think this is technically season 5. I started this in 2020, like in 2020 when everyone else started their podcasts. And that's kind of the tone for the next 16 minutes, which is zero bullshit, zero sugarcoating, but mostly immense faith and belief in you, any woman business owner who is really willing to put her nose to the grindstone for an extended period of time. Someone like you who does have great intuition, a deep work ethic, and you guessed it, a high tolerance for failure. So like school teachers or like teachers of any kind, when they burn out from that, they make great entrepreneurs. More on that. The next 16 minutes is scaffolded around don't do these 7 things I wouldn't do, along with just one thing you could do instead, which I think you already know. Please understand from the outset of this chat that I do not offer any shortcuts. No shortcuts, not here in my podcast, not on the yoga mat, not over in my one-to-one coaching program, not in my upcoming group coaching Times membership program, not at any time when I offered my chakra online course. There are other podcasts and softwares and coaches out there and consultants and quote unquote experts, and they are pretending that they can give you what you want in a handful of weeks. Some of those cheeky, promising BS in mere days. If you are tuning in for the first time, thank you. And also I'm realizing that this is very much the place where our journey together begins and could likely end in the very few next seconds. And that's okay. And I wish you all the best when you're just stumbling upon those overnight results. But for those of you who've hung with me through all these years, whether it's my coaching client or my Attune and Align women's yoga membership client, or you were a student in my chakra online course, or you've been tuning into this podcast for the first 4 however many seasons, or if you are one of my OG, Lisa and Karen and Martha, who have been reading my weekly newsletter since 2016, then Attune and Align has been and will continue to be the podcast and soulpreneur business resource for you. Hang on a second. Mic drop from one of the world's tiniest, cutest mics. Okay, are you still there? Okay, you're still listening then. All right. On to those 7 things I wouldn't have you do, because I wouldn't do them. Number 1, don't start a podcast with some caveats. Here we go. Don't start a podcast if you're only going to do one season and give up after that. Don't start a podcast if you expect it initially to be an income generator. Don't start a podcast if you don't have crystal clear goals, like written down on paper, as to what it needs to do for you and your audience in the first season, and then what it needs to do for you in the second season, and so on and on. Is it a marketing funnel? Is it a verification tool? Like your audience is like, is this girl who she says she is? Is it a community building strategy? Is it just a straight up cost? Podcasts can be that too. So this entire podcast episode isn't about podcasting. I know that's very meta. Can we still use that word? So I'll just leave it there for now. If you want more about podcasts, head to the show notes and grab my free resource, Podcasting 101, and you can decide for yourself whether you're going to dive in or not. And I wish you good luck, and I wish you lots of fun. If you were my client, final note on podcasting here, and you said, yo, Marisa, I'm going to try a few podcast episodes and see what happens. And I would tell you, DBB, don't bother, babe. If you are willing to continue returning to the podcast as a long-term lever of just one component of your marketing strategy, then go ahead and give it a try. But if it's like just a few tries and then we'll see, DBB, don't bother, babe. Okay, number 2. Okay, so we're not podcasting, sorry, not sorry. Number 2, don't leap, period. You know that expression, leap and the net will appear? In most cases, it's harmful and it's spiritually bypassy. Hang with me here. Years and years and years and so long ago in another lifetime, someone in the yoga world told me to leap and the net would appear. Meaning that I should quit my full-time job. I was a 6th grade middle school Spanish teacher. I should quit my full-time job already and earn a living as a full-time yoga teacher. This person cared about me deeply. I still respect this person today. This person really wanted to see me happy. This person had immense faith in my teaching skills and my ability to thrive in that way. But it was bad advice at the time, and advice I'm glad I didn't take, because it was bad advice for someone like me at the time who was stuck, sad, disillusioned with early adulthood, not to mention I was deeply depressed at a deep soul, existential, could barely get out of bed level. I was desperate for a new life, and I was completely burned out. So as much as I appreciated this person's faith in me, I was glad I did not take this advice at the time, as I would have been digging myself out of depression's dark hole with less income. Now, the income will catch up, but in those initial stages, you need that safety net. So you don't need that theoretical leaping net. You need the real, materially manifested cash net. Okay, where were we? So here's what leaping looks like. I went a little off script here. I'm like, where am I? The reason you don't leap and the reason you stay at your full-time job as long as possible is to start manifesting that side gig cash. I was starting a catering business nights and weekends, yoga teacher training nights and weekends, kids yoga camp during the summer nights and weekends. My best business launch, brand, package, price is called Happy Hungry Journey. I don't do it anymore. It was my OG business idea, and it is still the best one. And I'm going to do a whole different episode one day just about why it was so great, so niche, clear on who the target audience was. Anyway, okay, some of you all manifesty girls are right now, but what about Abraham Hicks? Abraham Hicks would say, and I don't agree with this, you need to get out of that situation you don't like in order to attract the next thing that you want. But here's the thing is, I think you girlies haven't read enough Abraham Hicks. They do talk about up-leveling, but there's also the Abraham Hicks Emotional Guidance Scale, a scale in which it is clear they say there are no skipping steps. So if I was down here in that dark hole of depression that I mentioned, you don't just go from there all the way up to the top of the scale to empowerment and freedom and love. Manifestation doesn't work like that. And guess what else doesn't work like that? Real life does not work like that. So as much as I am all about cultivating a trusting and loving relationship with the energy of the universe, God, cosmic intelligence, we also learn from the Old and New Testaments, we do not put the Lord our God to the test, as they say. So whether it's Abraham Hicks with the intelligence scale, or whether it's those warnings in the Judeo-Christian Bible, you do not leap. You do not leap from despair to empowerment. There is work, years worth of work, and lifetimes worth of work to do. People pay me as their coach to support them in developing and executing real-world action plans that won't ruin their bank accounts, that require like reasonable leaps. So no irresponsible leaping. Yes, real-world testing, which brings us to number 3. And this should have been number 1. Don't ignore your money. People tell me they worked with so-and-so coach, but they never talked about money. And I throw up in my mouth a little bit. And I sputter, how? How did you work with a coach and not talk about money? When my clients float me a new idea for something they want to do, like a retreat or a women's circle or an online course, my first question is always like, hey babe, how much money do you want this to bring in? And it's like, am I an alien with 7 heads? Because I guess women don't think about how much money they want to have, or we were never taught to think about that, or we're told our whole lives about the little scraps we can have when the launch and the event is over, and we can kind of like grasp at whatever's left over. So a lot of my work with my clients is to get them talking about money. I can talk for hours about money. I am not a financial expert per se. So suffice it to say, I hook my clients up early with bookkeepers in our community, accountants in our community, very early on in their journey. We talk LLCs, we talk S-Corps, we talk QuickBooks, and I pass you off to a financial professional. But damn girl, I am here to help get you talking about making it rain. Number 4, I'm kind of going from finance to like marketing and sales now. 4, don't have too many offers. And this is coming from the queen of like, I've done literally everything and I've had a ton of offers, right? So don't do anything I wouldn't do anymore. If someone were to visit your website and you are my typical client, you're going to have one high ticket, like one-to-one coaching package or a one-to-one like teaching package. And by high ticket, I mean like it's above 4 digits. You're like, you're a private yoga teacher or a personal trainer, or you're like an integrative nutritionist, for example. Then you might have one online course. You might have one like seasonal group program, but it happens like once a year, and that's mostly it. Here's where I really save you from yourself. Please delete all the permutations. So all of my healer clients try to do this. They're like, in package A, you get 4 Reiki and 1 sound bowl. In package B, you get 2 sound bowl and 3 Reiki, and it's just like wild and messy. Instead, ask your prospective client if you can shoot them your HoneyBook file with what you know they need, because you're a close listener, right? So by the end of your 15-minute call with them, you know which package they need, and that's what you send in the proposal. My point is, don't make them choose from 14 permutations on your website. Also, in the too many things that you offer, single sessions, I don't really offer single sessions, kind of in like friend of a friend situations. I might do that. I've made a few exceptions, but generally not. So there's philosophical reasons for streamlining. In yoga, we call this streamlining the Ekagrata, the one pointed focus. You can do many things, right? You and me, we have like various zones of excellence, right? As Gay Hendricks would call it. But, you know, we have that one zone of genius. For me, that's my 12-week one-to-one coaching program. That's where I know that when I'm one-on-one with someone, I can really work the most Marisa magic. You know, as a former school teacher, I can work a lot of magic in group settings, but it's just a matter of knowing like, where can you give your clients the biggest bang for their buck? Oh, this one, number 5, don't go for coffee. Just don't. When you're an entrepreneur, most of people's invites to you for coffee is they are trying to pick your brain. They are. for the price of a cup of coffee. They're like, let me get your coffee. Get really used to saying no, 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 no. And also get really comfortable with asking direct questions. Say to people when someone asks you, ask them like, are you interested in working together now or in the future? Are you interested in collaborating on an event together? Or God forbid, right? Are you interested in friendship? Which occasionally is why someone I found out might ask you for coffee. So there is that too. God bless us. Number 6, Venmo is not a form of payment. I had in my teleprompter a whole bunch of things. I'm a few seconds behind now. There isn't much to say about that. For like items under $1,000, stick that on your Squarespace website in your Squarespace shop. If it's over $1,000, type up a much more thorough proposal in a platform like HoneyBook. I know some of you are using other things, but like make it really something with a very clear service contract and clear terms. And then most of my clients are selling services. Some of them also sell products, tinctures, candles, crystals, bath bombs, beauty products. Those go directly on their Squarespace or their Shopify with a clear return or exchange policy. But then anything that's more servicey and much more like onboarding form, or my nutrition clients, yeah, that's like HoneyBook with, the multi-step contract proposal. But Venmo, no, thank you, next. Which brings me to number 7. Just don't think about starting a business. Unless you are really willing to give it a go for more than a few years. So similar to my client who's like, I'm going to try a few podcast episodes. Are you willing to try this for more than a few years? And by few, do I mean 2 because it rhymes? No, I mean like 3 to 5. And I think by 5, I mean 7. Going into my 7th year now, like my business has been through war, recession, inflation, election cycles, pandemics. When people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm going to give entrepreneurship a try for 6 months to a year, I say them, okay, I'm sorry. I'm originally from New Jersey, so you have to forgive me for some things. 6 months to a year of entrepreneurship is not 6 months to a year of entrepreneurship. It's 6 months to a year of you're just not at that job you were at anymore, okay? What I want you to get really clear on is like so many people who are exiting like traditional full-time jobs, I have to ask you like, do you really want to start a business, or are you just looking for like the eject button from like a toxic boss relationship or an unsupportive team? Like those are 2 very different things. Marissa, well then what the heck am I doing then to grow my business? It sounds like you just spent the past 7 years not doing a lot of things and saying no and not going to coffee dates with people. Okay, if you've heard me say this once, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. Send your newsletter every week. Sit down for an hour and send it this week. Then sit down again and send it 52 times this year. And then next year, sit down again and send it another 52 times. And if I was your coach, I'd be like, okay, you can send it 50 times, because everyone gets a week off at the holidays. And like, why is this newsletter sending the litmus test for me to see like how serious a prospective client is? I will just drop a few key words. I'm not even going to give you full sentences for this because it's so simple. Keywords like trust, consistency, authenticity, resilience, humility, tenacity, grit, heart, passion, purpose, dharma, drive, intention. I mean, should I keep going? Yeah, you don't need full sentences. Sending a newsletter is the easiest and potentially, most challenging litmus test to see if someone is ready for the long-term journey of soulpreneurship. That little test shows me, are you willing to show up for yourself and for your audience and for your clients and for your community for literally anything anything week after week after week. Like if you can't commit to sending an email every week, how are you going to commit to selling candles? How are you going to commit to restocking? How are you going to commit to pivoting when the economy tanks? Okay. So start there. This is one of my Marisa mantras. Send your newsletter once a week. You know it. Send your newsletter once a week and then we'll talk. Use my Flodesk code LPYSWI for 50% off your first year of Flodesk. You can type in that code or just go to the link in the show notes below. At $19 a month at the time of this recording, I'd say that's a low risk ticket item in testing your long-term commitment to your vision of soulpreneurship. Over the years, I have experience using MailChimp, Kajabi, Customer.io, blah, blah, blah. For my women soulpreneur clients, I've done all the homework for you. And assuming that we're like the same vibe, speaking the same language, and you're in like the healing arts and wellness and fitness, Flodesk is the one you want. You're welcome. So now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 don'ts have you definitely done? And for the love of Pete, are you sending your newsletter every week? If yes, what's rewarding you the most about it? And if you're not sending it, you're like, oh, I'm only going to send it once a month and see if they like me. What's holding you back? I'm sending you love. I'm sending you light. I'm sending you fairy godmother hugs from your favorite Capricorn in her 7th year of soulpreneurship. That's me, Marisa me. Now go shine your light already.